bodybuilder at its root is concerned with self-development through self-mastery. If you are in a day and age where you can more easily get drug information about PEDs and how to cycle before you can get exposure to what the significance or value of a rep is, that is a problem. Because it makes it so that you are not able to be put in line to appreciate the art form that this is, that this represents.
Arnold, what do you think the sport of bodybuilding is heading in the future? What do you think is going to happen to it?
The bodybuilders and the professional sport of bodybuilding has gone the next step, where all of a sudden the body does not look as acceptable, simply because it's too big, and the neck is 23 inches, and the calves are 18. The proportion is gone.
There's a lot of people that have the feeling that if they take drugs, then that would enhance their performance. Just thinking that the answer is there's a quick shortcut to success. But there is no shortcut to success. It doesn't exist. There's only one way to be successful, and that is you got to work your ass off. Now, how do we get rid of the drugs in the sports? It's called body building, not body destroying.
In 1977, Arnold Schwarzenegger took bodybuilding into the mainstream with the documentary Pumping Iron. Since then, the sport grew along with the physiques of the competitors. As the athletes continued to grow, so did the public's awareness of steroids. It became a media buzzword in the 90s and soon became synonymous with bodybuilding. From there, research and development of anabolic substances and exercise science continued making great strides, and athletes grew bigger. But is bigger better? Have we sacrificed size for quality? Do steroids help create a better show for the audience, or are they ultimately hindering the sport?
When you're a pro bodybuilder, every single one is on steroids. Let's make that clear, right? You know that, right?
I think the best answer is to allow the athletes to use the drugs, but provide medical treatment.
If you're going to be great in anything, you have to be a student of it first.
You know, is there a limit to growth? You know, certainly there's a limit, but I don't know that we found it.
I've worked with men who will say, if you told me that taking anabolic steroids is going to take 20 years off my life, I would still do it, because at least I would be big and muscular in the time I was here.
It's risk versus benefit ratio. And I always tell people that if they want to go down that road, that's up to them. But when you're 25, you don't give a shit.
Steroids aren't addictive. Steroids never killed anybody. You know, there's no physiological proof. It's never been shown. It's all what the media wants you to see.
Anabolic steroid users, to a certain point of using the steroids, get left ventricular hypertrophy, which is an enlargement of the left ventricle, and they get a lower ejection fraction, which is heart failure.
Liver and organ. So I've been taking steroids for over 25 years, all right? So needless to say, you know, it does its damage, and I'm aware of that. I'm willing to take my chances, but I'm gonna do it as safe as possible.
I want to say this, that I believe in drug-free bodybuilding, and I think it's very, very important as a person in the spotlight that when it comes to talking about what choice should be made, is that unenhanced bodybuilding is the way to go. And that can be done in every organization.
Vegas is familiar to me. It's been the home to one of the biggest bodybuilding shows in the world, Mr. Olympia. But today I arrived to explore a different competition, the Natural Olympia. For over 8 years, I've been documenting bodybuilding and the many organizations within the sport. Most of these organizations have one thing in common. They generally don't drug test. The bodybuilders who compete in these leagues have gone far beyond what was thought possible across a wide variety of divisions, each showcasing different levels of muscularity and types of physiques. But there is another world left unexplored in the realm of the sport, natural bodybuilding. These international competitions claim to enforce strict drug policies on their athletes and test them with the same standards used for the Olympics. The Professional Natural Bodybuilding Association, more commonly known as the PNBA, is the biggest natural bodybuilding organization in the world. Despite this, I can't help but notice that the competitions are much more modest in comparison to their untested rivals. But this is the largest turnout of competitors in the PNBA's history, with over 450 professional and amateur contestants from all over the world, all of them training and dieting for one purpose: to win, without the aid of anabolic substances. This is their story.
Turn left.
About a month ago, I set out to meet the top athletes competing for the Natural Olympia title. Men and women with some of the best genetics and work ethics, who, for varying reasons, chose a drug-free path. The first athlete on my list was Rob Terry, a reigning champion in the men's open division for the last 2 years. Originally from Wales, Rob came to US to pursue a career in professional wrestling before making a name for himself in natural bodybuilding. At 6'4", he towers over most of his peers with a physique that commands attention. Rob, how you doing, Rob? How are you? Good to meet you, man.
Very good to meet you as well.
So everything's set up, you're gonna be in that chair over there, and we'll get right into it, man. So let's start from the beginning. What is Natural Mr. Olympia for those who've never heard of it?
Natural Mr. Olympia, it's the biggest, the best title that you can have as a natural bodybuilder.
Which organization do you represent? Which bodybuilding organization?
I compete and represent the IMBA PMBA. The IMBA PMBA is a natural show where you get drugs tested. That, to me, was extremely important. What's bigger than being the natural Mr. Olympia? In my mind, that was everything that I am. I'm probably one of the biggest natural athletes in the world and have been for a long, long time. You don't see too many guys in the off season, especially, that walk around 280 pounds at 6'4". Not a regular thing you see, but I possess that. I want people in the natural bodybuilding circuit to be like, oh my God, this guy, he's huge in his off season, he's a freak. And just accept me and understand you can do this on a natural level. I want to be remembered as one of the best natural pro bodybuilders of all time.
You know, over the decades, we've seen some freaks of nature that you would say, man, those guys are on the juice. You know, they're taking steroids. I don't care what you say. And you'll hear people say that about Rob. That's just a statement without, you know, any facts behind it. They just look like they've taken steroids.
I was really developing on a natural level, and I was making big strides, and I just wanted to keep going and see how much I could do it on this level. And I feel like I brought my physique to its natural full potential. And what I love is that I'm able to maintain and keep it all year round.
Rob Terry is a phenom, they would say, in natural bodybuilding. He's an excellent competitor, an excellent natural bodybuilder, and he is gonna stay, you know, at the top of the mountain for a little while.
He's asked by Rob to run his blood work multiple times, and thoroughly convinced that he's a natural athlete. And that's one great thing about Rob. Open book, you know, show up at his house, test him anytime type person, and you don't see that real often.
And one of the things that I told Iron Man magazine, I told my sponsors, and I also told the president of the IMBA PMBA, is that it's really important for me as a champion of the IMBA to not only be tested on the show, which I've been tested every single time that I've won the title, but I also want to be tested throughout the year randomly.
Have you ever considered or thought about taking performance-enhancing drugs?
Given that I have one kidney, it wouldn't be a good health decision for me. My body wouldn't be able to do it. And it was just one of those decisions that I made very earlier on in my life. I know my parents were pretty concerned about my general health, but they supported me 1,000% as long as I stayed natural and healthy.
Rob is very, very health conscious. When he was 8 years old, he had quite a life-changing experience. He suffered from a severe case of hydronephrosis, which actually meant he had to have a kidney surgically removed. I'll never forget the day we went to the hospital and it was diagnosed. And Chris and I both thought, how on earth are we going to tell Robert what the problem is and what's going to have to happen? And we were worried how he'd react to that. And we were totally amazed. When we told him, he just looked at us and said, well, thanks for explaining that to me, I understand. What have I got to do to get better after the operation? And that was, to my mind, incredible.
Yeah.
That he had such determination to get healthy again.
You got in? Yeah, I got it.
Okay. You pick which one you want to go on. This one? That one? All right, good job.
If you haven't asked your support structure, hey, this is what I want to do and this is what I need from you, it's never going to happen. Do your cardio, do your workout, prep your meals, still be with your significant other and have them understand that there are times when you're really tired or really hungry and you don't want to go out and sit at a restaurant and not eat.
I think it can be hard in a situation where you're with someone and they don't understand what you're doing. I'm really, really fortunate and I'm really lucky that my wife understands everything that I do. She understands everything that I want to do, and she's incredibly supportive of that. Yeah, I want to say I want to be the longest reigning natural Mr. Olympia champion back-to-back. But it's a goal that I'm 100% committed to.
Philip Ricardo Jr. Originally a skinny kid from Brooklyn, Phil joined the Marines at a young age where he began building his physique. He developed quickly and was soon entering and winning the bodybuilding competitions. Eventually, he won enough titles to earn a nickname, The Legend. He's since retired from pro bodybuilding, but at 48 years old, he has decided to come back to reclaim his title of Natural Olympia.
My family situation was pretty rough. My father, unfortunately, he went to jail, so that's why I moved from Rochester to Brooklyn. I was a very shy kid, pretty skinny. I was in the projects, so it's kind of, intimidating to be around that kind of atmosphere, but it was that growing up, I wanted to be healthy, and I actually grew up very sickly. I had asthma as a young kid. It was more of a selfish thing. I wanted to be successful, and I saw all these other bodybuilders, being on ESPN, like TV, and so I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be in magazines. I wanted to be on the cover. But as I've gotten older and family and kids and everything else, you see that those things don't matter. And all these things that I do, it's just kind of like, it's nice, but it doesn't mean anything when it comes to eternal life. I seen the lifestyle around me, not just that, drinking, drugs. I saw my parents, they were smoking stuff in the car while we're driving, and me trying to do anything that would, deter me from being healthy by taking some kind of drugs or putting anything bad into my system would be counterproductive to a healthy lifestyle. To be honest, I didn't really have this focused on my radar until really late. And people, are always asking when I'm going to come back, so I thought it would be just something good to do. So yeah, I feel like I wish I had more time to really, really prepare, but I also feel that I am in a good place now, and I feel I am going to be ready. The one thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I've competed against probably all the top natural bodybuilders. I've been fortunate enough to have beaten all of them. We'll see what happens with Rob. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I will never see myself as being a legend, but I think just because I've been in the sport so long and gone up against all the top guys.
When it comes to Phil, he is to me what drew me into natural bodybuilding, is the idea that you have this almost unattainable level of not just physical appearance, but sportsmanship overall.
Philip Ricardo Jr. is a past winner, 2015, of this Natural Olympia, and he's going to try to take care of Rob.
Been divorced and have, extended family all over the place. Not too long ago, my parents both passed away. It's nice kind of how God works, where you may lose something and then you gain something else in return. Now being engaged to Kelly, it's amazing that, all the things I've been through relationship-wise that I was able to find finally at this age, 48 years old, a woman that really I understand and she understands me. We speak each other's love language.
I can't wait till Vegas when we go to that buffet he's been talking about, so that's good.
She's been supportive the entire time. She helps cook some of my food for me if I need it. And so having support and having someone that's not going to make it tougher on me, because it's already a very tough sport, is definitely a blessing.
He has a very restrictive diet, which, we already know that chicken is one of the cleanest protein you could have besides fish, and that is the two things that he's been eating to prepare for his competition, which is actually very perfect for a human body.
So like I said, Rob is huge, Chris is huge. I've learned, even my last Olympia in 2015 that I won, I had to go up against another great legend, Hall of Famer, Michael Waddington, and another guy called Martin Daniels. These guys are big, and I knew if I came in just trying to get as super lean, that's not going to beat those guys. People could say I have good genetics, but if I show a picture of when I was, in high school, just like kind of like a straight up and down beanpole, and I think me training brought out whatever genetics I did have. To be honest, I can't come in there saying I don't want to win, because that doesn't make sense. If you're a champion, you are always going to want to win. So it's more of I want to go out there against guys I've never competed against and once again test myself. And see where I'm at. I'm 48 years old now. I'm not a spring chicken. And no matter what the outcome, I'm going to congratulate the winner, and hopefully I'm congratulating myself. It's just going to be a dogfight,
Do you think testing for steroids and eliminating it from the sport would maybe help it become mainstream?
No, not at all. You have natural bodybuilding. Nobody knows who they are.
All these organizations pop up and they try to compete against the NPC and the IFBB. They're not going to get there because everybody has their Mr. Olympia dreams. They want to step on that Olympia stage. The lure is too strong.
People like freaks. They like freaks. The sport has evolved.
What natural bodybuilding organizations am I familiar with? Probably none. I mean, I don't really, like I said, the only organization I'm really familiar with is the IFBB. As for actual set natty organizations, I don't know. And I don't really even buy that, all of them are natural.
It's not that drug-free bodybuilding was as big. I think, number one, the information of the other realities that exist wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
I don't know what started this whole idea that natural bodybuilding was supposed to be unconditioned and boring and, smaller guys and nobody comes in conditioned. I really hope that this portion of this decade and this time frame in our lives shows people that it's about the excitement of the sport. It's not about your lane, and our lane is natural bodybuilding.
The choice to use anabolics in the sport of bodybuilding is just that, a personal choice. Athletes choose to use these drugs for different reasons, from expanding the limits of your genetics to achieving recognition and accolades on the bodybuilding stage. While it is a choice, it's also assumed that most successful athletes and media influencers enhance their bodies and get more attention because of that. Mike O'Hearn, a former PNBA athlete, has managed to become one of the most famous bodybuilding influencers without the use of anabolic substances. Though many people, both in and out of the industry, do not believe him.
You guys all coming in pimping looking.
Thanks, guys.
Ready for you.
He's cool, man. He's got the gym.
Thank you. Welcome to the castle.
Can you tell me how you became a natural bodybuilder? How did you get into it, and why did you decide to be a natural bodybuilder?
My dad was a bodybuilder, football player. Mom was a martial artist. So we all were bred for this. Started at 9, competed at 13 Olympic lifting, 14 stepped on stage, competed against 20 19-year-olds, and at 14 years old, I beat them all.
How did you discover INBA/PNBA League? How did you discover it, and why you chose to compete for them?
It was the first show I discovered that was natural. And so it was like in '89, and they had a show, and I drove down to Northern California and competed, and I won the show. I just thought it was a pretty badass thing.
Do people question you when you say you're natural? Do they question you and say,
Since I was 13 years old.
Your whole life?
Since 13 years old. Imagine that.
I don't think he's natural. I don't think he's taken it to the insane levels, but personally, I think he's dabbled in it here and there.
If I had to bet my house on is Mike O'Hearn natural or is Mike O'Hearn on drugs, of course I'd bet my house that he's not natural.
So I don't want to discount his hard work. He is an extremely hard worker in the gym. He is an incredible physique. He defies age, but I don't believe for a minute that he's not using performance-enhancing drugs.
The old the Mike O'Hearn mystery. I've known Mike for years, and if he claims to be natural, then he's natural. You know what I mean? I'm not going to refute him, but I will say one thing. I mean, people pick on this guy all the time, but I've been in that Gold's Gym since 1990, and Mike's been there. And that son of a bitch is there at 4 o'clock His life is dedicated to building his physique, and no one can take that away.
Could be natural and looks like Mike, it would be Mike. But Mike is probably the one person out there that if a human being's capable of doing it, it's probably Mike.
Mike O'Hearn, even I see all these things that people say about him, he's been doing this thing for a long time. He powerlifts, he's strong, he's just a freak, just like Rob Terry, you know? And I think that because he's still affiliated, he's so involved with the federation, I don't think someone like that would be involved if they were doing something that wasn't, you know, clean.
It doesn't matter if you do it or don't do it, or if you believe I do it or don't do it, doesn't matter. I didn't make my career off of this. What matters I always say, if I did it, my career would have been over in the 90s, like everybody else's back then. And I can't think of anybody that's stayed consistent as long as I have, and that's solely nutrition.
Mike hasn't competed in years, but he remains active in a natural bodybuilding world as a mentor to up-and-coming talent.
After you.
Most recently, he has taken an interest in Adrian Petrario, a Romanian refugee who stays in contest shape by competing throughout the year.
Yeah, I love this.
Huh? Already, baby.
Now I get to watch.
From one champ to another, huh?
Let's throw down today. Let's have some fun.
Can you tell me about Adrian, your relationship with him, and kind of how would you assess him as an athlete, as a competitor?
Adrian's focused. He's very precise. He's a businessman. That's first and foremost. And he does it for himself. But he does not like anybody else to, if they're going to take stuff, he's definitely one against them.
I usually want to be at 190, so it gives me a little room to add some more carbs, much lower.
Adrian reveals that he plans to finally step on a pro stage at a natural Olympia and compete against top talent like Rob and Phil, but he's hesitant to do so.
Nice.
You're right. Nice, nice.
One thing is, and the main thing for him is to believe in himself. Because I know for the longest time he didn't go to the Open, and I wish he had. I couldn't understand him still doing the amateur shows and not doing the Open.
Right.
So for me, it's just it's a different mindset.
I think he looks great. I'm very curious to see when he actually crosses over into the pro class how he does. He's a great competitor, and I hope soon that he stops competing amateur and moves into the pro, because I think he would do well.
Just like you're on stage now. Come on. A lot of people say, well, that's not the best because they're natural.
You know,
rebuttal on that?
You know, yeah, it is the best because the other way you're actually cheating. So if you're cheating, is that the best or not the best? So if you're throwing in things that, you know, are ways to cheat, does that make it the best? Or does that make it just the best cheater?
I'm going off of
You
yours.
see what
I'm asking you the questions.
I'm telling you, that's the way I feel. So
Okay.
if you're using something other than yourself, your own best, right? So you're using ways to cheat, then it's not your best.
When if somebody has low testosterone or something, and so they're already fighting an uphill battle?
I think you have to do the best you can with what you have. You know what I mean? So there's a 43-year-old guy at the gym. Hey, bro, I used to look like you. When? When you're 16? I'm 41, motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? So that there's some hypocrites out there that say, hey, I look like this, I'm doing it naturally, but they really aren't. Well, I am, so.
Tell me when you're feeling.
Yeah, I like to get that pump, you know? Like, I like to get that blood flowing there.
Don't show it until you're ready.
Right, right.
I like the dryness, though.
Yeah.
The Romanian blood. These vampires. You gotta love that.
This is my pro debut, man.
So wait a minute. Biggest show in the world. Your pro debut. You're jumping in head to head. with the greatest.
Yeah.
That you just said, you know what, I'm getting in the fight this time. I don't want to play around with the amateurs this time. This time I want the very best of the best, and that's it.
Well, I've been winning it all, so the next thing is going to be, what's the next thing? You got to go to the next level, right? I'm excited being, you know, on the biggest stage, you know, with all these athletes from the best natural athletes from all over the world. They're coming in, I mean, from everywhere. So It's not like just the U.S. or just...
this is worldwide,
This is worldwide. This is the Olympics for natural bodybuilding.
Getting ready for the show, is there anybody that you think you need to beat, or is it you coming in your best wins this?
Me coming to my best is going to win this.
Play it up, play it up. Show them everything. How many shows have you done drug tested?
So I've been competing since 2009, and I got tested from the very first show and every show after.
But people have scammed and snuck past those tests before, polygraph and urine and blood. So how is you never been busted for it?
Yeah, there's not going to be busted if I'm not taking anything. It's going to be very hard to be busted when you're not taking anything. It's like...
Is it something more to you than just competing and doing it naturally? Is there something...
Man...
What is it?
You know what it is for me? How can I eat really clean? Chicken, rice, fish, turkey, train hard, put all this great stuff in my system, and then throw in a substance that actually ruins my entire body. Ruins my health. You can end up dying from it. It sounds very hypocritical to me.
Now, is this what you normally eat after, or roughly?
Yeah, I like to keep it pretty simple. I live alone, so for me, simplicity is the key.
How important is nutrition in natural bodybuilding?
So 100% nutrition, 100% the gym, and 100% mindset. So 300%.
Salute.
In '89, we decided to escape communism. We ran over the border with my parents, my brothers, and my mother being pregnant. They caught us over the border. They took us to jail. My mother and the kids, we went to house arrest, and my father, he went to regular prison. 2 weeks later, they brought us together. We said, well, the next place where we want to go, so we tried for the U.S., where the U.S. took us about 3 months or so to find out, and then the U.S. accepted us. So which the U.S. was Michigan. No, the other one, right there. Yeah, that one. When we came to the U.S., going from where we were to coming here seemed like almost like it was heaven, right? Like things that we've never seen. Grocery stores that were full of just like, what do we want to eat? Toy store and like, what are you gonna buy as a young kid, right? What we couldn't even figure out. Just things that we, you know, never really had. I thought that all the guys that were taking drugs, that they were getting those results by being natural, by taking the creatine and all this other supplements, right? Like they're taking supplements. I was naive. So first of all, I'm very competitive, so I don't like to lose. I've always trained hard, I've always loved to compete. So when I go to the gym, like if you and I train together, then I want to do more than you. So if you're doing 10 reps, I want to do 12, 15 reps. It doesn't matter who you are, and I don't like to do anything half-assed. How do I beat the guy that's following the book? I'm going to create my own book. I'm going to do my own way. And I'm going to push myself so hard because a lot of us don't know how much we can really handle. And I want to win against the best in the world.
The next athlete lives on the other side of the world, in Qatar. At 6'3", Christopher Okech is able to display an impressive physique that could rival Rob Terry in size. Despite splitting his time between strongman and bodybuilding competitions, Chris managed to move up to the 3rd place in 2018.
Oi, what's good, man? What's good? What do you have? Good? Cheers, man. Cheers.
In less than 2 months, we will see if he's able to close the gap and take Rob's title.
My trademark is that I'm 3-in-1. I'm a bodybuilder, a strength athlete, and a fitness athlete. So in my training, I get to train the hardest. Maybe I'm probably the hardest, worker in the bodybuilding or the Mr. Olympia coming up. And I have to train strength events and bodybuilding. So in bodybuilding, you're training muscles. In strength events, you're training movements for time. I was born and raised in a slum setting in the streets of Nairobi. We had a very big family, 10 siblings. Pretty much been very active all my life. I chose to stay natural because why is the only way that I could have gone as far as I could in this sport.
Chris Oketch is that guy that comes from a place that you've never been, that you've never heard of, but he comes out of nowhere and you're like, do they all look like this? I mean, he's huge. The guy's enormous. He's quiet, soft-spoken, but imposing on stage. I mean, you see him and you could be 10 rows back in the crowd and he's just larger than life.
Feeling like a new man. Yeah. I want to be the natural Olympia, the new natural Olympia. And I believe this, given that, from where I come from where I'm at right now, and my discipline.
The idea of being able to develop a disciplined way of thinking that shaped or had a positive effect on your mental, spiritual, and physical development. The thing that I found to help me do that was cloaked in this idea of bodybuilding. Learning how to pose, learning how to show your physique, learning how to develop your physique. Latissimus dorsi, what is it? This is beautiful. Wow.
Beautiful.
Bodybuilding is all about understanding what are your weaknesses and working those harder. So symmetry, size, and how cut you're able to be. Those are the three main things technically.
My whole life is my passion is to change bodybuilding where it really should be, a beautiful sport. This is my heritage, the history of Greece, the history of the sports, the Olympics, and it was the beauty of the physique, The way it was created was because the direction of what the bodybuilding was going in the 80s. The people were getting freaky, it was becoming unhealthy, especially when the women were starting to look like men. It ruined the sport. I just wanted to go back to what really bodybuilding should be like. I thought it was the time for us to start a new organization where it's really truly given an even playing field, and it's a natural movement.
So ladies, face front on the judges.
Natural bodybuilding for me and the organization is to promote health, wellness, life, longevity, and to give the elite natural athletes the platform to compete and be competitive. We have never ended traditional female bodybuilding. I love female bodybuilding. We want to be able to enjoy the beautiful physique of our female athletes.
Women's figure is a very specific subset of the category. So I think it's almost not even fair to not talk about that piece of it in terms of the division as a whole.
The women's figure division is one of the most competitive categories in the league. Alondra Chapman and Tiffany Stoshik are two of the division's top athletes. Just as male competitors, Both women managed to find time to get ready for the competition while balancing work and family.
I grew up in West Valley, so it's kind of a rougher area. My mom was divorced, so we kind of didn't live in the nicest places. We usually rented rooms from other people, and it was just a hard time growing up with little money, and my mom just did what she could to take care of us. So. Thanks for looking out. So growing up, I was kind of like an outcast, and I feel like I didn't grow up with the best genetics. Like, I was always overweight, I was teased, and then as soon as I got into lifting in high school, I had a coach that was a bodybuilder, and he wanted me to do a lot of powerlifting. So I feel like it just helped me learn that through hard work, you can do anything that you want.
So when did you begin your career as a bodybuilder?
Let's see, that probably would have been around 2000, that I actually paid attention to it as being something that I might be able to do. And then I had a cancer scare, so that kind of just pushed everything back for me not being able to actually get to the stage. It's always a challenge to balance career and family. Being a wife and a mom, that's definitely a job. It's not something you can ignore in any way and have it all function. I want to walk home with, again, the gold medal and say, hey, all this work that I've been doing for the last 2 years ended up with me coming home with that first place. Because that's literally the biggest show of the year, and everyone wants to win. Everyone is coming for that win.
I've always been 100% natural. The reason why I decided when I got into the next level is when everyone was starting to take steroids, and I just said, that's not what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna prove everyone wrong that I can do it without that.
What's a typical bodybuilder's anabolic cycle looking like?
There's probably 2,000 chemicals that have been derived, but there's about 150 that have been produced in the world, and there's about 25 anadrol, D-bol, testosterone esters, NOR19 drugs, DHT derivatives, testosterone derivatives. Those are steroids. Then you go into SARMs. There's a bunch of SARMs, right? There's about 5 or 10 SARMs. It sounds great for a SARM, selective androgen receptor modulator, right? There's no question that the future in real chemistry and science is looking to a SARM.
The natural bodybuilders, however, are only limited to over-the-counter supplements. such as protein, amino acids, creatine, and vitamins. As the result, natural physiques look drastically different from the enhanced. You can judge for yourself. So steroids, how dangerous are they really?
When you look at the research where performance-enhanced athletes, especially bodybuilders, when they get into their 40s and 50s, they have lots of challenges with heart, with liver, with kidneys, with brain, and all of this function. It has everything to do with this so-called steal syndrome because they're stealing energy away from those organs to maintain that muscle. Steroids are creating more muscle tissue because you recover faster, you put on more muscle than your body would naturally allow you. And so the bigger you get artificially, the more you steal energy from those other organs and you cause problems there long term.
When you use regular steroids, I don't care if you're 18, 19, 20, or 45, and you gain that kind of weight, you know what happens, sir? Do you understand what happens? If you grow this, you're gonna grow the left ventricle of the heart. Now, you do it in 4 or 5 months, probably microscopic changes. You're not gonna see it on a gross level. You keep doing it, it's just gonna be like anything else, sir. You're gonna end up having side effects.
Natural bodybuilding aside, bodybuilding and fitness in general is about health, and to kind of have the understanding that because this is a controlled substance, that we won't study it to prove how dangerous, or I'll go the extra mile, or to disprove that it's not dangerous, is dangerous in and of itself.
Is it true if you take enough steroids and you do different things, are you able to have a higher level of performance? Absolutely. For people to say you don't, they're stupid, right? But what it does is it can take someone that's already training hard and all that and doing great, make them a little bit better. And so they do that, absolutely. But the problem is they do it at a cost, and we don't know what that cost is for each individual.
I don't think that natural bodybuilders or natural bodybuilding exists because it's not natural to take the body to a super muscular state. That's not necessary for survival. I mean, the problem is that everybody thinks steroids are bad. I don't believe they're bad. I believe they're tools to enhance our quality of life, to enhance our performance, to take us places the human body couldn't otherwise go.
Everybody's on steroids. Everybody. From the doctor, to the lawyer, to the judge, to the guy who plays, weekend golf, to the girl who just wants to lose weight. Everybody's taking it.
Because I was natural and still able to be 260 pounds in my off season. When I went into the natural competition, in the natural organization, when the short teenage class and the overall, and when it came to the idea of taking enhancements to become an even bigger and better athlete, that was at some point very seductive.
A lot of times when you say you're natural or to do drugs, especially PEDs, is technically cheating. Steroids is such an ugly word to the world, you know what I mean? They use it in such a bad connotation. When something's bad, that's on steroids, But the funny thing is when you're sick, when you're hurt, if you're burnt or anything, the first thing you take is a steroid to get you better.
The fact that when you're on steroids, everything changes, There's a whole feeling. It's a euphoric feeling. When you take anabolic steroids, it's a euphoric feeling.
I think anybody, athlete-wise, is tempted to take it because it enhances everything. Football players do it, baseball players do it. We know that in all sports. Gymnasts do it, swimmers do it. It makes you better. So it really just comes down to the individual. How bad do they want it?
The use of anabolics goes way beyond bodybuilding. It goes beyond sports. It's common in the entertainment industry as well, where stars are required to go through radical transformations in a matter of months.
Are steroids prominent in Hollywood? Yes. From one screen performance to the next, some people have immense muscle growth, massive development in that short time. A lot of it can't be done naturally.
Now, I've had actors in the past or pro athletes show up that I've never worked with that have started eluding the questions on that, and I just can't answer them because I just don't know. It's just not a world that I want to be affiliated with. Any actor I've ever worked with, every film that we've gotten them ready for, we've all looked at it at the end and we've been really proud of. Whether they've had enough time or they haven't had enough time, it's okay. When you tighten things up nutritionally, from a training standpoint, from a recovery standpoint, and you really start tweaking things that people just don't want to tweak, you'd be shocked to see what the body can do.
The times have changed. I mean, look at the superheroes from 20 years ago to now. You had Arnold and Van Damme and Stallone. Now you have Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. The image of the superhero is not massive, muscular, freaky. You don't see guys like me anymore. You see more the European look, the slim look.
Natural bodybuilding is a passion and a source of pride for its competitors, but it doesn't pay all the bills. While many athletes stay entrenched in fitness as personal trainers, nutritionists, or gym owners, others have chosen occupations outside of the fitness industry. Rob Terry is a firefighter for the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. He usually spends long shifts on call at the firehouse.
I'd heard we hired a professional athlete, and when I first saw him, I was like, that's a big dude. So it was kind of interesting, and he came through here, and I knew that we wanted him as part of this family. Since he's been here, everybody is really tuned into him and what he's doing and following him and supporting him, and we're trying to watch what he's doing, and he's very dedicated to it, and it's fun to watch.
Some hot sauce. You know what? I'll take some hot sauce.
One thing that I do with personnel when they come through is I sit down and talk with them and try to find out what makes them tick, inspire them and motivate them. But I can't really inspire Rob. He's so disciplined with everything that he does. There's really not much that I can teach him on discipline.
Do a lot of other stations know that he's here?
Oh, everyone knows.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Really?
I was talking to a friend of mine who works in Hillsborough County. And he was telling me how much weight he's gained and this and that, and he was like, well, I'm no Rob Terry, but I'm like, how do you even know Rob Terry?
He eats his cereal with coffee.
I get a lot of questions about that.
Every morning on light duty, just a whole thing of black coffee.
Yeah, pours black coffee into cereal and stirs it up.
It saves time, right? Well, you're following the chicken stock
Yes,
with
yeah.
coffee right now. That's great.
Go get him.
Let the old man beat you, Rob.
Give him my best shot.
Keeping a day job, it is difficult for us because, you know, if you wake up at 5 a.m. to do an hour of a workout and 30 minutes of cardio, that's like the first 6 weeks of training. Who's to say you're not going to need a second training or that you do that 7 days a week with a newborn kid? If I win a bodybuilding show in the naturals, even if I do, you know, the major world championship, what am I winning? 5-7 grand if I'm lucky? So it's one of those real double-edged swords that what makes lasting pros is their ability to handle that type of stressor.
Early in the year, I just went through a whole bunch of stuff. My dad passed away. My mother had passed away a year prior. So I was trying to, deal with him because I was going back and forth. He lived in Philadelphia, and I was just kind of helping care for him in the hospital and hospice. And after he passed away, being the oldest, I had to take care of all of his, things that have to do when you die, obviously. So there was a lot of stress, and then I was having to watch my kids full time and take them back and forth to school and go to work. And I had to try to pick them up from school one day early and try to also get the funeral arrangement done. And I wrecked my car. I had an SUV, wrecked that. So it was like everything was just kind of spiraling. And then about a month later, after the funeral, I lost my job. So it was like, wow, what is going on? I just felt kind of spiritually attacked, and everything in life that I thought was so important kind of seemed a little bit less important. And now that I have this opportunity with this job, I feel a lot more convicted to work a lot harder and to just realize that I'm very lucky, very blessed to have the things that I have and be able to be financially secure, because I never would have even thought about competing, in a competition coming up soon in 2 weeks. That was like the farthest thing from my mind. Even just going to the gym was a struggle and challenge, but I'm just really shocked that I'm in this position. So Did my best to get in shape for this show, but right now, first things first, going to work. Hello, ladies. Good morning. Oh. Put my hat back. As you can tell, it's Halloween.
Hi.
And this is the temptation that I have to go through every single day.
We actually dress like this every day. When you see him in his short sleeves and you see these muscles bulging out, it's like you got to go and ask further exactly what it is that he's doing. And then he was eating all this strange food, so we knew there was something behind all that.
So I get to see some of the other people that he's competing against, and so that gets the caliber and the fact that it's all natural, you know, is a big deal, right? The extent of someone that has a full-time job that is technically challenging, but still somehow finds time to compete at that level is not just impressive, but it's also very inspirational, motivational.
Is it difficult to combine bodybuilding and what you like competing and also, you know, being a full-time agent?
So, I mean, it is challenging. I mean, sometimes I wish that I had a job like most of my fellow competitors do, you know, in the gym where I'm in the gym all day and in between clients I can, you know, knock out, you know, my workout or whatever. But I worked cartels, which was exciting job.
Like investigation?
Yeah. Investigation, yep. Then I moved on to a gang violent crime squad, so kidnappings, murder for hire, all that, those type of violent gangs. It was my thing.
I knew bodybuilders that worked blue-collar jobs, track layers, carpenters, plumbers. They worked 10 hours, 12 hours, and then you know what? They made their way to the gym and they trained like animals.
When you take, you know, anabolic steroids or drugs, they're mainly taken so that it helps you recover quickly. You're putting something foreign in your body that is a recovery agent so you can continue to not only work out longer and harder, but it's helping you to heal up so you can recover from the muscle breakdown, and then you can go ahead and work out again and work out heavier and stronger. And as a natural athlete, you don't have those type of things that you can use, so you have to be smart with your nutrition, your training, to where you choose a body part that, you know, you train it one day, but you got to give it enough time to recover, get enough sleep.
A ½ inch to 3/4 inch on your arms today.
Being a champion and holding the title requires constant maintenance, both in and out of the gym.
Oh yeah, I feel that. Usually when you're training with weight, towards like rep 6 to 8, you get that crazy burn, that pump and everything else. With this, it starts from rep 1. So it's, as soon as you touch that and Chris says go, man, it's intense straight off the bat, you know what I mean? But it's all worth it. No pain, no gain, right?
The back and forth padding, the bicep and tricep. So that was a prime example of a loaded stretch both ways. So he was getting the best of both worlds at the same time. So I can tell Rob's central nervous system is really healthy. He can handle a lot more current than the normal person that starts on the machine. Sometimes there's a primer phase. I was able to skip the primer phase and take him right into training. So it was really impressive. I expected nothing less.
Even on blood flow, that's
different?
There's no, a paper cut would be deadly right now, my friend. Keep that paper away from me.
So this is just pattern work using thermal imaging. So sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic, they both go like this all day long. What ends up happening, if one's high and it's always revved, that means he's not going to heal like he should. Go to the center. And to the left. Push it, push it, push it. To the center. Keeping him strong here will keep him strong the rest of his life. That's So we got.
Let's go do some scraping. Let's do it. The fun stuff.
Which side do you want to start?
Would you start left side?
Left side. It can be pretty painful, and he knows that, I don't want it to lighten up on me. We talked about that at the beginning, we go, so.
Yeah. There were some people where I gotta, even what I call my desk jockeys, I gotta go light. They can't take the level of pain that he can, but the more that this is done, the easier it is, but the B, you just kind of get used to it, and the body's like, oh, this is cool. Just release. But some people, when I do it, it lasts like 10 days. They get like, when I did your lat, a couple weeks ago? Mm-hmm. That thing was magenta, fire red, like real bad. But he also heals quicker. Between his eating, between all the other stuff he's doing, he's recovering really fast. People who eat like crap, that takes a lot longer. Let me sweating. You and me both. I'm doing all the work here. All right. Especially
Holy snap. Yeah, look at that.
Chiropractic is more of a mechanical, biomechanical balancing of muscles and joints, the spine, your facade as we see it. But really, that facade is held up by the structure behind it, which is all of your cells, all of your organs, and all of what makes that area of your life healthy. And so by me using the science that I learn, I'm able to keep my cells functioning more optimally so that my facade, which is my physical body, can be used further down the road without running out of gas.
So that tells me there's something going on. You're probably tighter from this end, okay? There's something happening in here we gotta work on, so that way you're making sure you're standing completely upright. Everything else from this view looks perfect.
You have to maintain your facade, which is your body, from the internal cellular level. And when you can maintain that inner workings, you can continue to advance and enhance your physique. We call it mature muscle.
And muscularity comes mainly from age. If you have that muscularity, when you flex, you definitely see it come out. The conditioning side of that muscularity is when you diet and you train long enough that you're actually making your skin thin enough to where you're able to see those extra striations coming out. So you can see some older guys that may have more muscularity, but then if the younger guy has more conditioning and you see stuff popping out, it'll make him look more muscular. You can see more definition. So you should be able to see like an anatomy chart. That's kind of how I would look at it. You're trying your best to look like an anatomy chart. I think that's the kind of distinction between the two.
Over time, the body will adapt, right? And epigenetics, so you're able to actually control your genetics to a point by your environment and your stimulus. And if you consistently stimulate the muscles and they get used to working out often, then over time you get those larger, mature muscles that it's usually a little bit older group that you'll see in the natural world that really come out because of the muscle maturity. And it's just that constant, consistent work that they put in year after year after year. And in Rob's case, the 5 to 7 days a week, pretty much his whole life, working out at his level and being blessed with some good genetics and the right training and nutrition, he's been able to pull it off.
300 grams of this. This is every day.
As competition draws closer, athletes begin dropping fat by restricting and adjusting their diets to visually enhance look and size of the muscle.
2 grams off.
Where I am right now with my prep, I would just sparingly space my meals throughout the day. Because I have such an early start, you got to think it's going to be a long day. From 4 a.m. to potentially 10 p.m. or even later, depending on when we have calls. I just need to space out my food throughout the day.
Tomorrow is when that happens. For now, we're keeping about 8 meals a day. 3 weeks before a show. Then I have to eliminate some things out. So I'd have chicken with less condiments.
You have to have a calorie surplus, not deficit, so you have to eat enough calories and get the right macronutrients so you're building muscle, getting enough protein, but also having enough carbohydrates and fats to cushion your muscles, cushion your tendons, so when you're working heavy, you know, you're not getting injured.
In bodybuilding, you have genetics, you have work, dieting, and chemicals. Which is the most important in your opinion?
It is the food. You ask any professional bodybuilder, from Jay Cutler to Ronnie Coleman to Dexter Jackson to Phil Heath, everyone will tell you the same thing. It's the food.
Genetic is number one. Okay, genetics is number one. I don't care who you are or how hard you train. I mean, the genetics is supreme.
Hard work, genetics have a huge, probably 1 and 2 over anything. Because a lot of people can just take drugs and still look like shit, you know what I mean? So you do need the hard work, and you definitely need the genetics. So then comes probably the drug part.
Everyone always says it's, you know, 80% nutrition, 20% training, and I always kind of go against that, and I say it's 100% mental, because I've seen people who are not genetically gifted individuals do some pretty incredible things with their body, and I feel like it really just comes down to discipline.
What makes lasting pros isn't genetics. The most important piece of bodybuilding is a frame of mind, and the frame of mind needs to be on season, off season, at the show, after the show, on social media. Like, all of these things will make you the best bodybuilder.
Whatever he hits, he destroys.
Can you kind of explain the bodybuilding in a nutshell, meaning that the cycle leading up to the stage, meaning that you have to bulk up, then you have to cut, deplete yourself?
Anytime you're getting ready for a show, what you want to do is take an off period so you can put on muscle. And during that time, that 12 weeks, you'll raise your cardio periodically, you'll cut the calories periodically, and then just keep trying to recover and retain all the muscle you possibly have. Because at that stage, it's hard to put on muscle because you're in a deficit. So, especially for the natural bodybuilders, it's the toughest thing in the world.
I'm drinking my 2 gallons of water. Maybe the day before I'll go to maybe 1.75 gallons, maybe the lowest 1.5 gallons. But I don't really cut all my water, where before I used to do all those different experiments. Some people want to be very, very, very cut. Some people want to have a little more size, right? So the more cut you try to get, the less of a size you will have.
Keeping in mind I'm pretty much depleted right now. Yeah, so I'll start picking tomorrow. Tomorrow I do my last cardio in the afternoon, then boom. Try to fill up, get ready for Saturday. So right now, as you can see, we're packing, getting ready for states, flight sleeping tomorrow morning. So this is just little stuff that I'm taking with me.
The NBA has a big roster of competitors, but almost no fans aside from family members and friends. The Natural Olympia top winner gets $5,000, which is roughly 1% of Mr. Olympia's $400,000 prize money.
I wish everybody comes and works with us. All the other natural organizations, I want them to be close with us and work together. I like to see that, because that way no one can deny natural bodybuilding. But we don't have the sponsors and everything. But if we all unite and work together, INBA, PNBA will always grow and become better.
You should marry a federation that marries the idea that you've hit their judging criteria. And as much as we want to admit that bodybuilding is a very subjective sport, the subjectivity between federations is also a very subjective thing. I married the federation that treated me as an athlete the best, and I married the mentality of natural bodybuilding. For me, I believe that any athlete that really wants to push themselves in terms of their boundaries and really stick to the ethos of, look, I don't care how many people say it's a lie, I'll take a blood test, I'll take a hair test, I'll take a urine test, I'll take whatever test you want to prove that I'm natural. The INBA was it for me.
So every show that I participate in, if I am selected, and even shows that I'm at, even if I am not participating, I am eligible to be selected to be drug tested.
We do in-season and out-of-season testing. No other natural organization does that. Only INBA, PNBA does that.
So every year, WADA comes up with the new standards, so what are the banned substances, and the INBA, PNBA test their athletes. It is pretty different from show to show. They can either do it before registration, where as you're registering, they'll say, okay, we're gonna go to the bathroom and we're gonna do an A and B sample, and they'll have a representative from the federation that'll be there in the bathroom watching you pee into a cup, and you fill out the whole form, the form that's for the WADA compliancy, that's gonna go to the labs. They have 2 different labs, and once those are turned in, you'll get your results back, and hopefully you pass.
You don't want to fail a test in this organization because of social media these days. There's something called the wall of shame. And you are posted on the wall of shame. You are banned from competing in this organization, and it's out there for everybody to see.
So you can come to our website and you can see exactly if somebody failed, banned for life, boom, 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 here it is. Everything's all about it.
Guys that are doing substances and taking steroids, they're not going to give credit to the natural guys. They don't want to, because they want everybody to believe that that is the way, that they are doing it natural. But don't come into my world, not give me credit, and then say you're natural, because then I don't respect you either. I can't respect somebody that's lying.
Is it possible to beat the test?
I'm glad that we use a urine test, I will say, because that's a pure system. I would, but from the competitor's side, if they were prepared, certainly could beat it.
There really isn't a way to really prove that someone is lifetime natural, if that's your question, or if they were on 5 or 10 years ago. But if we get back to Rob Terry, personal opinion is that there would be some parameters if he was on the steroids that would have been needed to, build size, if that's what got him big. And there'd be some effects that others might have been able to erase over time that it'd be tough for a Rob Terry.
Again, in these natural shows, there's a lot of guys who did steroids for years, then come off, and if they're off for 5, 6 years, I'm natural. To me, you're natural if you've never taken anything.
The testing is a joke. I go back to what I said a few minutes ago. Everybody's taking it.
You're gonna say goodbye? Daddy's going to the gym. Okay, have fun.
With one day before the main competition, the athletes take advantage of their time with the final workout. At such low body fat percentage, they use lighter weights to prevent injury. Staying relaxed yet mentally prepared is equally important. Stress can make the body unpredictable and have a drastic impact on placings. While the other professional athletes get ready for tomorrow's show, Adrian shocks everyone with a decision to compete on an amateur stage for the last time, before his pro debut tomorrow.
I'm going to be competing as an amateur, my 5th show so far this year, which is a little bit of a challenge, but you know, I'm kind of enjoying the challenge.
You've never seen someone go and win an amateur Olympia, like clean the whole house, meaning you're winning your division and other division and you're against everybody else in all their divisions, and then the next day go and do it in pros. Like, you normally win, then you get invited to go to pros, and then years later you do that. I mean, he's really going to do this back to back.
He's taking his time. He's keeping it under wraps.
You got time, Adrian.
Now, there's amateurs that win PNBA pro qualification quite often, but that type of athlete doesn't want to be pro. They want to compete whenever they want, wherever they want. They just want to remain amateur. It's crazy. I mean, look at Adrian. All these years, he's been an amateur athlete. It's a mindset. You have to be ready. And there's no going back, really. I mean, once you turn professional.
This means Adrian will have to be in peak condition for 2 nights in a row. A delicate process that involves limiting your water and food intake to be at a very low body fat percentage. This process is grueling to do for one evening. Doing it for the entire weekend could be dangerous.
You know, 2 days out from the show, you look really skinny, you know, kind of like stringy, if you will. If you front load, then at the beginning of the week, you'll put a lot of carbs, and then you'll kind of cycle them down and still and your muscles will be fuller at the end of the week. If you deplete and then backload, then you're going from basically nothing, and at the end, you're throwing them all in to kind of fill out the muscle. Like, a peak week can't fix a bad prep, but a peak week can ruin them.
Italy. We got a repeat champion here in gold. Winner of the men's open natural bodybuilding for the Natural Olympia.
Adrian establishes his dominance in the amateur division once again with another first-place victory. Some may call it a selfish victory, as he has been a pro-caliber athlete for a while, and yet he feels satisfied. But tomorrow, another battle is looming, and this time against the big guys.
It is the best a body's gonna look right on stage, and it's the worst the person feels. And it's the most unhealthy as well. The water depletion and all those things, and playing with it, and playing with your carbohydrates, and toying with how your body functions off of insulin and all that kind of stuff. It's a crazy thing to look that beautiful for a split second.
You really take your body to a place that it's uncomfortable and where it really shouldn't be, kind of how I was for the last 5 days, for instance. I mean, hormones are completely out of whack. I'm cold all the time. My nails are blue. Everything is messed up, you know, and you're not supposed to take your body to those places.
All right, we have our pro men's open bodybuilding, what everybody's been waiting for.
He's a serious threat in this lineup to Rob Terry's title. His name is Christopher Oketch. Christopher.
Today I'm feeling very, very good, feeling happy and ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a big fight.
another serious threat to Rob Terry's Natural Olympia title comes by the way of Philip Ricardo Jr.
I know that in order to stay, within striking distance and to be healthy and live a long, healthy lifestyle, which is what natural bodybuilding is all about and what the PMB IMB is about, I know that I need to just stay within striking range just in case these opportunities come up, like competing against the best in the world here, so.
I mean, this is the deepest lineup of pro men bodybuilders that the Natural Olympia has seen in the 7 years that I've been covering the show. So now I ask Rob Terry, what kind of package you bringing this year to compete with these new names?
I'm here because I set a challenge to myself. This means everything. This is the Natural Olympia. I am the reigning defending Natural Mr. Olympia champion.
Reigning defending.
And I'm gonna do everything that I can to maintain that, and I will put on a fight with every single one of you tomorrow.
So you guys can file off stage now. Thanks, guys.
We notice that Adrian is absent during the press conference. We tried to check in on him, but his reply was brief.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful Saturday morning, this event that's coming up for us that you've just blessed us with. Being here is a very special day, no matter what the outcome is, celebrating together. Father, we're just so grateful to have this beautiful team forming and that you've blessed us to continue this great relationship.
Yes.
And Father, we just are looking forward to a special day and a special evening and the rest of our time here in Las Vegas. And just thank you for just being you, Father. You're just so great, awesome, and just the God of the universe, and we love you. And in Jesus' holy name we pray, amen.
You ready for this?
He is born ready.
You're ready for this, right, Mason?
You got your little fire truck, you got your snacks,
Come on.
got the food.
Let's do this.
As the men apply tan to look defined under the bright lights of the stage, it's showtime for Alondra and Tiffany.
Pro figure open, come on up, sweeties.
USA. 234 Femke Bouwmeester, Netherlands. 385 Timosai Briceno, USA. 356 Alondra Chapman, USA. 257 Tiffany Stosich, USA.
Welcome to the stage, ladies. Welcome to the Natural Olympia. The best in the world, ladies and gentlemen, are right here.
For all of the judging, there's a judging criteria that is specific to the IMBA, PMBA. You do muscularity, conditioning, and symmetry. So they're all judged in 2 different rounds. Basically, the first round is when you do your quarter turns. So when you're doing your quarter turn to your right, quarter turn to your right, that's when they look at your balance to see if your upper body and your lower body, are balanced and look and match up. If you have skinny legs, then you're probably gonna get marked down. So they give you certain poses that'll help you judge those different criteria. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, it's not just about that, because you're not always doing a point system, but it's who's the best physique on stage.
What a chance you run.
All right, I'm going to call out the top 5 ladies. I want to congratulate all of you for gracing the Natural Olympia stage. It's very, very difficult. You're all top athletes in the world. here at the Natural Olympia. 257, Tiffany Stosich, USA.
Both Tiffany and Alondra are called out as 2 of the top 5 finishers. Tiffany takes home 5th place. As the rest of the medals are awarded, Alondra is the last woman standing.
227, Aisha Kimball, USA. Your winner, gold medal, $5,000 cash prize, number 356, Alondra Chapman, USA, Pro Figure Open, Natural Olympia.
Couple gold medals here today, so one for evening gown and one for Pro Figure Open. So amazing, 22 ladies on stage, a lot of good competition. Been training hard all year for this, and we did it. We made it, 1st place. So, oh my God, I don't even have words.
Without any notice, Adrian is spotted backstage again, fixing his tan, in the final moments before the competition. With a change of heart, he's finally ready. He decided to step on a stage against the best in the world.
Yesterday I was very nervous and emotional and like, oh my God, am I gonna win again? Am I, what's gonna happen, right? So I thought I wasn't gonna do today, but then I said, something, I need to be here. I'm here, and might as well just go all out and go with the big guys and just see what I'm made of. I won everything, so what else am I gonna do? I can go back and do that again, or I can go to the next level, right? So this is the next level for me, so here I am.
Good to see you, man. How you been? You good?
Really good.
How you feeling?
How's it going?
I'm glad.
Will,
Good to meet you.
very nice to meet you.
So how you feeling today?
I feel really good, I feel, like I say, that the battle against myself for 16 weeks was a success. That's something I can control every single day, every single minute. I just feel I did the best I can. Today I'm up against 30 guys.
30 guys.
I want to say that's one of the biggest natural bodybuilding lineups that this organization might have ever had. That's what I've been told. So it's going to be a huge battle from start to finish, and when we get up there, we're all going to have to work.
Well, listen, good luck with everything.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right here, thank you. Up to your game. 171.
Let's fucking go. Let's do this.
Matt Karofsky, USA. 142, Jonas Nader, Germany. 347, Christopher Ulkich, India. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your PMBA Elite Pro-Men's Open Natural Bodybuilding. Let's rock!
All right, gentlemen, just listening. Can we make sure the judges can see your number? 118. You can lead those gentlemen to the blue line, please. Follow him off, gentlemen. No, the blue line, my friend. Gentlemen, step back on the red carpet, please.
24 men on stage get narrowed down to the top 5.
184, Tommy Thompson, USA. Come on back. 305, Robert Terry, USA. Come on back. 273, Siobhan Cunningham, USA. 322, Philip Ricardo, USA. 276, Taylor Hammond, USA. 5.
Adrian falls short of the top 5 with a 6th place finish. Christopher goes from last year's 3rd place finish down to the disappointing 9th. They are both given participation medals, same as the other competitors. On this stage, every athlete gets a medal.
Bodybuilding is such a subjective sport, and I think that, you know, over time, there are favorites that are generated, you know, and that just like in any other organization as well, that, you know, the judges are like, well, that, you know, that's the guy. I mean, he's gonna win unless somebody else shows up and beats him.
The judges dictate a lot. It's people's own opinions of it. It's very superficial. You know, you look at it and you might like blondes, I might like brunettes.
Let's talk about bodybuilding in general. The subjectivity of even what you're looking at is always there. So still then, getting a bad feedback from a judge gives you a bad frame of mind. So what makes you a good bodybuilder is your ability to take what they've said, take out the bias, but understand the actual judging criteria and change what you're doing to come back to look like what they want to see, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to hand you the title.
In this sport, it can be very subjective. So even though someone may have like the great balance and maybe even good conditioning, there could be someone who's obviously bigger, a better poser and presents their physique better. So presentation is important, even though it's not specifically judged as far as points are concerned. But if you know how to present your body, you can sometimes beat out someone who may have better genetics, you know, better symmetry, better balance, better muscularity.
Final 5 posing routines of the Natural Olympia with number 273, Siobhan Cunningham, USA.
The top 5 athletes take the stage one last time for individual posing. It's a privilege to be selected as the best. It's what every competitor trains for.
Sidelines here, right on the wings, right in front of the podium, please. Siobhan Cunningham, Chad Havinen, Philip Ricardo, Robert Terry, Tommy Thompson. Top 5 in the world PNBA League Pro Men's Natural Bodybuilding Open. Thompson, USA, congratulations.
Rob and Phil are the last 2 men on stage. The next name called will be 2nd place.
second place and a silver medal. $2,000 cash prize. 305, Robert Terry, USA. Your champion, first place, gold medal, bumped up to an $8,000 cash prize. Your champion, PMBA Elite, Pro Men's Bodybuilding Open. The pinnacle of natural sports, Natural Olympia, number 322, Philip Ricardo, USA. Congratulations.
So what was going through your head when they announced Rob Terry, second place?
I just was already looking forward to just being humble and accepting second place, honestly, because I just, I've seen him, I've seen what he's done for the past couple of years. I just didn't feel like, I don't know, I didn't have the confidence that I was going to be able to do it. Even though people were saying stuff, I've heard that before, and I look at other bodybuilders and just trying to put myself, the respect factor I have for him. So if I had gotten second, I was just ready to be prepared emotionally to accept it, congratulate him, hug him, all that good stuff. But for me to yeah, it just didn't make sense. The number I was expecting to hear is 322, get my second place, be happy with that, but wow.
Chocolate block, face thing. Absolutely.
Toes wiggle.
You're free!
So what do you think, in today's world of bodybuilding, right? What can be done to make natural bodybuilding more popular and more, more spread as opposed to enhanced bodybuilding?
What made the original bodybuilding great? Do you think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger's physique? I don't think so.
Well, he put it on the map originally back in the...
Yeah, but what put it on the map? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Muhammad Ali, those personalities. That's a different level. And that's what started bodybuilding. So for somebody to make natural bodybuilding top notch, you need that personality.
You need those
it can't be the
stars.
body. Yeah, you gotta have the stars. I know that people want to go, no, it's the body, it's the body. Arnold did it because of the personality.
Thanks, man.
Oh,
Great
brother.
interview, man. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Nobody can deny that Arnold Schwarzenegger brought bodybuilding to the mainstream. But the sport has grown in his absence as well and became its own niche. But is it true? Is one larger-than-life personality all the natural bodybuilding needs to reach the next level? After Arnold left the pro stage, Lee Haney showed us that the boundaries of human physique could go much further. Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman continued the evolution, growing in size while managing to stay conditioned, eventually creating a new term, the mass monster. Many people today refer to bodybuilding as a freak show. And whether that's negative or positive, there's one fact that can't be ignored. More and more people are tuning in. So is Mike right? Does natural bodybuilding need a personality to make it successful? Can bodybuilding rely solely on the beauty within the sport? Or does it need to be more than that? Do we need it to be a freak show?
I'm thankful that we're getting some different things that potentially could create a platform for us to be, more widely known. But even in the IFBB, if you look at the disparity between the money that the open bodybuilders make and the men's physique guys make, those men's physique guys look phenomenal. They're bodybuilders in board shorts, but they're not the open bodybuilding guys. Those are the guys that draw that. I mean, they're mass monsters. They have that absolute wow. I'm hopeful that we're able to, kind of find our niche in the sport, and that, that we can draw a fraction of what the IFBB draws, but that's a tough mountain to climb.
Every time I meet an athlete that tells me, hey man, I am the so-and-so champion of such and such and such this year or that year. I won, what is the name of the organization? I always ask them what the name of the organization is. They're afraid to say the name of the organization because there's also built within that the distinction of, well, I'm an unenhanced athlete. And that's why whatever side of the fence you fall on, there's no reason to really shun or discredit or, I think it all has value. I think it really does have value.
I don't dislike people who use performance-enhancing drugs. The only thing I care is that if that's your standard of competition, then there are competitions for you, and I would love to go see them, I'd love to patron them, and I'd love to be your coach or your supporter.
This is time right now for natural bodybuilding to grow. This is the time where everybody's seeing that health is the most important thing.
Natural Pro Bodybuilding provides an option for athletes who want to be competitive without the possible risks that come with performance-enhancing drugs. But it still has a long way to go to reach wide recognition. And ultimately, it will be up to the audience to decide what's more popular. But for these athletes, being natural stems way beyond recognition, social media hype, or even mainstream success.
Pleasure, my friend.
And what time is it?
You see it in my eyes from the jungle. I don't know no other way to survive the winter. From hell to high water off the muscle. I'm all hustle. I get it in.
Boom.
I get it in. I get it in. Watch me get it in. Let's not pretend. I get it in.
I wish I would come from nothing and act like I ain't did something. Waste my air full of lungs and knowing no future in frontin'. You cowards do what you can. I always did what I wanna. Walk barefoot through the fire. And when some can't sit in the sauna, sip up the eye, the tiger. I ate the kitty for lunch. I'll make a ring out his retinas and rock his coat when I'm done. They say they do it, I say I do it and done it the best. You flip the script, I script the flip before you see it. Flip that, abracadabra, hair on. I bet the bag and they won't. No competition, they gone. But my position, they won't. What kind of shit they be on? You wish the bad I hit home. I'm Hank Aaron when I dare it. Baby Ruth, Barrett Bond. Sometimes I wear two watches. When double timing, I'm on. A human diamond, I'm shining just like that Breitling I'm on. And if I want it, I get it. Before you know it, I got it. And you can't do a damn thing to stop it. So stop it.
Yeah. See it in my eyes from the jungle. Don't know no other way to survive the wind. From hell to high